Okay, today is Sunday, August 9th, and it's 4 p.m. I think this is just going to be actually a blog, just sort of me talking about whatever pops in my mind, and I don't have any list in mind. So I'm just going to be jumping around, and if you're looking for some wisdom, if you're looking for, you're not going to find it. I'm just going to be jumping around, and too bad I can't have somebody interview me. Ask me. You might ask me some questions. Leave some questions down below. I want to talk about a bunch of different things, and there again, I have no idea what's gonna pop into this bald head of mine. Um, I went to a all Catholic. I went to a Catholic high school, De La Salle Military Academy in Kansas City, Missouri. It was a ROTC, all military, all male high school taught by the Christian Brothers. And I went there. I know some of the kids that were sent there, they were sent there because their parents wanted them to get some discipline and some order and whatever. Uh, I wanted to go there because I wanted to make a career out of the military. I had an older cousin who had gone into the army, uh, Billy Hall, and he would come back when I was a kid and tell stories and stuff like that. So I think that's the reason. So when I went to high school, I really did not. Well, let me tell you about De La Salle. It was what they call a 55C school in the statute or federal regulations or whatever, how it was written up. They talked about ROTC, Reserve Officer Training Corps, for high school, and a 55C school was sort of like on steroids, ROTC on steroids. I'm guessing that at public school, uh, ROTC, I'm guessing, and I'm sure there's lots of you out there that can answer this question. I'm guessing that probably they had ROTC, 3 days a week for an hour, a day. We had an hour of military. Well, we were in uniform all the time. Every morning we fell in uh, the regiment, or was it a battalion? I can't remember now. We fell in front of the entire school, band, colors, everything, in front of the school. The flag was raised, sound of the colors, the national anthem, salute. Well, we didn't take out our M1s then in the morning because too much time putting them back in a rack for just that. But so then Monday through Thursday we had an hour of military, and then on Friday half the day was military. We had our military, and then we had on Friday we wore full dress uniforms, and then we had a full dress parade. You know, uh, so we had a lot of military. I got straight A's in military. Also, you got demerits for if you had a button unbuttoned, your shoes weren't shined, your brass wasn't polished, anything, you got a demerit. I went 4 years, I never got a demerit. I flunked everything else. I flunked religion, I flunked typing, I flunked. If I didn't get an F in it, and I went to summer, you're thinking, well, I went to summer school all 4 years. So military was, and two, I took my books home from high school. I never opened them. But I was involved in things outside of school. I was in civil defense, the Ground Observer Corps. I was shortwave radio. I was doing a radio program that was broadcast around the world to Europe, Africa, and I was doing all kinds of things that were not connected with school and that school didn't know about. If school had known about it, you might think, well, I would get some extra credit, but they didn't know about it. I didn't tell them, and I don't think they cared. So when I got out of high school, I went down to enlist in the military, filled out the paperwork and everything, and this was just at the recruiting center. They discovered I was 40 pounds under the minimum weight requirement. I didn't know the military had a minimum weight requirement. And so I had to, I went to Weaver School of Real Estate, which I really didn't want to do. My father paid for it. He wanted me to be doing real estate. I eventually went to welding school, and then I ended up, but anyway, a couple years later, I get a notice to report for my selective service physical. All males had to, at a certain age, I don't know, 20 or something like that, have a physical exam. I went down there, and there was 200 of us. They had us all stripped naked. They wrote with a magic marker on our chest, 1 to 200. That's how I knew there was 200. And they, you were supposed to be out, you showed up early in the morning. You're supposed to be out of there by, of course, about noon. And of course, I was there, the only one. I was there 3 or 4. Anyway, they were getting ready to close up in the afternoon because I couldn't give them a urine specimen. Everybody else, 199 other guys, pissed in the thing and got to leave. And I don't have that trouble now. I can urinate. My problem is not urinating. So I got a card in the mail, 1A, which means the military wants you. So I went down to the recruiting center, filled out some paperwork, and told the recruiter, I'm a little bit pissed. I wanted to, 2 years ago, I wanted to make a career out of the military, and you turned me down. Now I'm 1A, and I said, but I'm ready to go. And he said, well, let me check. You do look awful skinny. And he called over to the medical facility. And oh, wait, we didn't look at his height and his weight. Nope, rejected. 1Y. Just a few years ago when they were talking about Donald Trump and how he avoided military service by repeatedly taking deferment, student deferments, and then he took a medical deferment, and he was certified 1Y. I didn't find out until that story about him came up online that the 1Y classification, you had to carry your card with you. You were required by law to always have your card with you. So I found out later that all the 1Y cards were changed to 4F. For those in the other, outside the United States, maybe even the United States may not, younger people may not know, if you're 1A, they want you. In fact, when I went down, when I got the 1A card, the recruiter said, oh, yeah, Mr. Howard, you're on my list here. I got a list of everybody who's 1A, and I was going to be contacting you. If you didn't come down, I was going to be contacting you. But the 4F card was, we don't want you under any circumstances, During World War II, my father had 7 brothers. All of them served in the military. One of them, Leonard, only had one eye. When they were kids, they were playing on the bed, and there was scissors or something, a knife or something on the bed, and it went up and poked him, and he put his eye. He served in the military. Anyway, I didn't go into the military, and that's the reason. And how did I get on this subject? Because I think I might have covered this subject before. But, I think I was going to talk about jobs. I think I was going to talk about the worst jobs that I ever had, the best jobs that I ever had. One of the best jobs that I had was actually, I'm 99.9% sure I was working for the mafia. But I think I've spent enough time talking about that. Let me briefly, something that I've never really mentioned to anybody, and I'd just like to put it on the record. I was working security, hospital security at St. Joseph Hospital, And we had a security officer who was shot in the Wabash parking lot, Dan, at 9:15 p.m. Less than a year later, John Galegas was shot and killed at 9:15 p.m. in the Wabash parking lot. And I had taken photography's always been my hobby. I had taken some pictures of John Galegas out in the parking lot, and we're out in the parking lot, and this was a real no-no, you know. I said, John, take your gun out. So he pulled out his revolver, and I took a picture of him. And that's almost exact. By the way, when John interrupted a car being broken into, and the guy breaking, they both saw each other at the same time, they both drew at the same time, they both shot each other at the same time. John was dead when he hit the ground. The other guy managed to get about a block before he collapsed. The police got him. Anyway, I'd taken this picture of John Galegas with, you know, almost standing on the exact spot where he was shot with his. So the family of John came and said, hey, Jim, you know, we heard you took a picture, and the hospital has this plaque, and they need a picture for it, and they're going to put it up on the wall of the hospital or whatever. So I gave him the negatives that I had and gave him the pictures that I had, and gave them all to him, or to the family. Okay, the hospital, St. Joseph Hospital, was located, they were getting ready to move in a couple years out of the bad ghetto neighborhood, which the nuns, God bless the nuns, but the nuns, of course, said, you know, we're not moving because of the neighborhood. We're moving because this is an old building that's been here for 100 years, and the fire escapes are not enclosed. You know, they were moving because of the neighborhood, believe me. I could give you I could give you Annie Oakley. No, I could tell you things that patients and doctors, you know, said, like they can't, you know, I don't want to be at this hospital because of the neighborhood, and can't get my patients to come here because of the neighbor, you know, something. But so the nuns committed a venial sin. So the hospital was moving. So the plaque at that hospital never went up. They never put it up. And the word was that they said, well, we're going to wait till we move to our new hospital to put the plaque up for John Galegas. Well, they moved out south into a very nice neighborhood where they're still located. They never put the plaque up. You know, and I thought, I wasn't working there anymore. I didn't go to the new hospital when they moved. I thought, well, you know, probably it's in the security office. Hardly anybody would see it. But, you know, they don't want to put in the lobby that somebody was killed, you know, an employee was killed. People might think it was dangerous or something going to the hospital. I knew. And I thought, well, they're probably in the security office. No, because I talked from time to time, you know. No, never. They never put it up. And that's something that has pissed me off. I don't think about it every day or every month or maybe even every year. I do think about John from time to time, but that really, you know, they didn't put up that plaque. That is pretty bad, I think. Anyway, good jobs that I had. Bad jobs that I had quite a few bad jobs. I enjoyed welding. I welded. I was a welder for 10 years. Got paid good money, you know, union jobs, United Auto Workers, Boilermakers Union. Few of the hospitals, I worked 30 years hospital security, and the first hospital I worked at, St. Joseph Hospital, the one where we had 10 security officers working inside of the, my grandson has brought a Subway home for me. This is the end of this video. I'm going to have a Subway. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, help me out. I mean, if you have leave a comment with a question, and I will try to answer it. And I'll try to do better next time. So if you watch this, my hat is off to you. Thanks very much.